A video about the labeling use cases in CLS. The label management is found in its own workspace, and within that workspace there are two views, one for the labeling change requests and one for the labeling documents themselves. The labeling change requests are a data record that allows you to store information about a particular change that might be required. There are different fields here, but the first tab in essence allows you to capture and identify the details of the change request. The product information allows you to link it to the relevant product and market or markets as applicable. And then the affected areas allows you to identify any other areas that might be impacted by this change. So perhaps this change impacted a registration, in which case I could select registration in this first field, and then I could choose the relevant registration and link that to my change request. Where it is market specific, there are also some additional fields to capture things such as the critical change, remaining ppm stock, what should be done with it, and any additional comments. The approval and implementation tabs relate to the workflow that is associated with the change request. So in the approval step, any comments and dates can be added, and in the implementation, likewise, any implementation notes can be added, and it can also be identified whether a change control is required from this change request. There are also tabs that allow you to link other items, so perhaps you would like to relate some correspondence or other attachments and supporting documents, in which case those can be added directly to your change request. Once you have a change request, you can create linked items using the Create Linked Submission Management records. Here you'll need to select the type that you want to create. Once you select that, it will open up that form. This is the regulatory activity form, so there's a crossover with the main components of REM here. You could fill in any necessary information that you need. Some information will already be populated, and the link between the two items already exists. You can see any links that might exist between related records in the related documents and records. And this is across all of the different types. So this one, for example, is linked to various different products, markets, whereas this one down here has also got some links to registrations and an activity as well. In terms of the labeling documents themselves, they can be seen in the labeling documents view. It can also be viewed from the main content management, but the labeling documents provides a specific view that only shows you the labeling documents. All of the standard document management functions apply, so we can see at the top here that you can create, you can import, you can view the properties, but also view and edit the content. The labeling documents do have their own classification, so within here we can select different types of labeling document that you may want to create. And likewise, when you open up the properties form, there are some specific fields that allow you to link the products, the market, and the registration. One of the key concepts in the labeling documents in CLS is this idea of a master and a child. The idea of this is that you have your master label, and that master label may have multiple children with various changes going on, and then as it goes through the process, those changes can be consolidated together. To create a master label, you can use either the create or import. If you use import, you would need to select the document you want to use from your system. You will then need to provide the classification, and here is where we can define that this is a master label, and then we can select the relevant classification underneath it. When we click next, we will open up this properties form, and this is where you would enter the details associated with this label. So I'm going to give it a name here. It's already got some other information populated. And then on the second tab, I will enter the information about my product and select the applicable registration. Once I've entered all of my metadata, I can click Save to create that document. And this is my master label. It's created as a draft, and I can now go ahead and make any edits that I need to in order to finalize the content of this. Once I've done that, I would send this for approval. If I have permission to do so, I can do that using the status manager. Alternatively, I can send it on a workflow. There are different types of workflows, so these collaboration ones are the ones you might use within the authoring and review, and then there are approval workflows with and without e-signature, depending on what you require. You select your workflow, click Next, and then assign the recipients to that workflow. Once you're happy with that, you select Issue in order to send that task. That task will email the users that they have it, but they can also find their tasks in their inbox. And at the top here, I have the approval task I just sent. You can see this document is now in an in-approval status, and I can select my outcome from the top right-hand corner to either approve or reject this. I'm going to approve this and just confirm that it will remove from my inbox, and also we'll see that status updated here, and this is now the next major version and approved. Now this is where the children will come in, because from this master label I can create a copy using the copy HAA master label action. I'll need to give this a name, and then I can confirm this. It will create a copy of that master label and its content, but it will also create a relation between the master and the child, and I can always see that relation in this master-child documents here. So here is my child document that I just created, and you'll see that this one has a classification group without the master in it, and it is in draft status. I can navigate to this document, and then again, I could use any of my document management functions in order to make changes to this. So I'm just going to check this out, and I'm going to check in with a different document to simulate that you might have made some changes to the content there. As you can see, it's still related to its parent master. And if I wanted to run a comparison to see what changes there were between my child and my master, I could use the compare to related master label. You'll need to choose the basis, so do you want the master or the variation, the child that we've created to be the basis of the comparison, and then click Save. So this will output a Word document, and this Word document contains the tracked changes which show the difference between the two. And you can see that there are some differences in the numbers there that I can see. And this allows you to identify any content that you may need to reconcile between the two. It is possible to have multiple children from one master label, so you could have multiple different changes being applied at the same time without impacting your overall approved master label. In the scenario that the master label, which has a relation to this particular child, is changed itself, so if we check out this document and just check it back in, so if we imagine here that there is a new approved version of this master label, you'll see that it is no longer linked to that child because the child is based on the content of the previously approved document. If we are then working on the child document, you'll see here that the child is linked to the 1.0 superseded, but perhaps we have made the relevant edits to include the latest content, and so in that case we can select that the current HAA master label content was included. What this will do is update the relationship, so now it is again related to that most recent and latest version of the master label. This process allows you to have multiple changes happening at the same time without impacting your overall master. The other key functionality within the labeling utilities is the ability to create a translation set. To do this, you will need to select a master label, so a label with the master in its classification, come to the labeling utilities and create a translation set. You'll need to give it a name and a target completion date, and you can add an additional description. The system will attach the relevant labels to be copied, and you just need to confirm to create that translation set. This will be queued in the background, and you can always see the status in your background tasks. This is already completed, and we can see the output here. So what this does is it creates a structure, and within that structure you can add all of the different components. So here is the one, and all of the different languages and translations can be added and kept together within this structure.